Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie Lucas, founder and CEO of the Annuity Consultants and creator of the Heart-Centered Planning Series. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday weekend. And thanks for joining us right after that. I know your schedules are probably jam-packed, but this topic is a very important topic. And hopefully it'll set your week up for some really good stuff. So we are super thrilled to be here on our second episode of season 2 of the Heart-Centered Planning Series, where we're going into an even deeper dive on the principles that make up the series. A little bit of background. I created this series because I wanted to bring more love, compassion, and kindness into the insurance and financial space, and really to impact the world in a positive way. And the only way to do that is by numbers. And so the more people that we have get on board with this way of being, the more we can impact our industry and our world positively. So thank you for being a part of that, everybody that has been joining us and everybody that has come on as speakers to go into a deeper dive on these topics. So before we get started, one housekeeping tip: please ask questions. We want this to be interactive. Any questions that you have, drop in the chat, and our lovely Allison will hand them over to me, and we will continue the conversation as the questions come in. And then if we don't get time to answer everything, I will definitely make it a point to answer those questions in the email that we're going to be sending out. So everybody is going to get an email with a replay and any recommendations that we offer during the webinar, as well as the free gift that Ellen has for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our lovely speaker, Ellen Tyler. Thank you so much for joining us today. So Ellen is a business and mindset coach working every day with everyday entrepreneurs to reach a 6- or 7-figure income in their business. She wants her clients to enrich their lives, their family lives, their clients' lives, and community, and ultimately making the world a little bit better, which is why we love to have you here. Ellen has excelled in business for the past 30 years. She is a former financial services professional. She has been recognized for her ability to build business, whether individual or corporate, and then turned her attention to broadening her capabilities to help expand all areas of her clients' lives. Ellen knows that no matter what your past was, the future is dependent on what you do today. So welcome, Ellen.
Thank you, Stephanie. I wish there was a Stephanie when I was in financial services.
Right. Well, thankfully, everything happens as it's supposed to happen. Yep. So, people wouldn't value what we're doing today if that was available then. So,
true.
Yeah.
True.
So they had to have it hard, and they had to have it the way it was in order to really get on board with this way of being. There is a better way than how it was in the past, and I think we are paving that way, and I'm seeing some incredible things in this industry. So we're at the right place at the right time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
Yes. So let's go into the questions. To start, can you share with us a brief background about yourself and your career path and where you are today?
I can, Stephanie. It's like those questions in an interview. Can you tell a little bit about you? Because you just don't know where to start. But to your point, and I think what is important to understand is that you just are taking paths along the way. Because I graduated during a recession, I honestly would have never picked sales. I actually thought I was on my way to become a portfolio manager because I'm very analytical. And I'm what's called an introverted salesperson, which I didn't know there was such a thing, actually, until about a couple of years ago, because somebody introduced that concept. It was just how you recharge. But the only work, and this sounds really crazy, was in financial services. I ended up working for a mutual fund company out of Chicago. And they were the ones that actually put me into sales. And the great quality, and this is what helps most of us, is that if we just say yes to opportunities and accept possibly what somebody sees in us, because we don't see it for ourselves. So I thought, well, if they're crazy enough to move my family all the way out to California and think that I can do this job, then I'm going to do everything that I can to figure it out. And so you mentioned the number of years I was in financial services. I almost hate those numbers, only in the sense of it's like been in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
But when I started, I typically was the only female.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, most people can understand where we are today is so much different than where we had come from. But I always accepted challenges. So I worked, whether it was for investment management firms, building the business for them, or on the advisory side, building my own practice. And I became really great at building businesses, but it took me a while to put those pieces together. And possibly somebody listening to this today or a little bit later might be trying to think the same way as to how does everything I've done get me to the point I am today,
Yes.
and what happened. And so I took that journey and I accepted all of those roles and responsibilities. I loved financial services because of the ability to help individuals. And most of us have a story. Mine was that my dad had been medically retired. So, of course, I wanted to help people figure that out. At 21, I didn't know what a mortgage was. I certainly didn't know what a 401k was.
Right.
And as you discover in that world, I was no different than anybody else. And I
Yeah.
wanted to help. And because I'm female and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know this, I thought, well, there's a lot of women out there that don't know this.
Yeah.
So sorry guys, but it was like my first realization that men were taking care of everything and I wanted the women to be as good and as prepared as possible.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, and this is a big reason that I wanted to have you as a guest because you started out doing what a lot of the people that are attending or who will, be watching this are doing now.
Yep,
And creating an abundance mindset and the power of positivity is so incredibly important to the process, no matter what your business is,
right.
right? And we did get a comment from Val. She said, being the introvert, that's me too, with an exclamation point. And, but
Yeah,
introverts can be great salespeople. And really, truly, I am, well, I would, this word ambivert, right, is sort of how I define myself. Like, I have to be an extrovert for a lot of reasons, being a business owner. But I
right.
really truly recharge on my own. I like my alone time, and identifying that and being able to balance that too is so important. So
It's important. I used to come home, and I'll say this, especially if you said it was Val listening. So especially when I worked for the asset management companies, if you can imagine, you are talking all day long and sometimes to hundreds of people.
yes,
I would come home and I'd go, don't even talk to me.
yeah,
I needed 24 hours of all that stimulation to get out of my head. And then I was fine.
yeah,
And we just thought that was me. And truly, I wish somebody had told me there were introverted salespeople.
yeah. There are. I've encountered lots of them, and they're incredible. Like, the analytical side of yourself, I
Yeah,
think that's part of like the introverted, way of being. So I love
it
that.
was helpful.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as your bio mentions, you made a shift from working in the financial industry to doing what you're doing today, which is your coaching. Can you tell us about that shift? And was there a pivotal moment that caused you to reevaluate your life and your career?
Yeah. There were three, and they were separated by years. And so I think it's helpful because it's not always like one right after the other. The first important aspect was when I was in my 20s, and they did bring in a speaker like this to talk to a room of 20-year-olds. And she asked us how much we spent on our personal development each year. And one, that was a new topic back then. And we're thinking like zero.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't possible. And she challenged us that when we had the capability to spend 5 or 10% of our gross income on our personal development, well, 27 years old, raising a family, you were just going, okay. But that stuck with me because she made an impact in what I thought was possible. Years later, it's when the opportunity, when luck meets opportunity, is that there was a gentleman who came to town. He had a seminar, somebody dragged me to it, and he offered because he's a coach. So I said yes. It was like the right opportunity, right time. The transformation that I had was, well, it was immense. I mean, I went from 5 figures to high 6 figures. And what I recognized and realized, I didn't grow brain cells. It wasn't that I did that, but it's because I am a good student and I will do what people tell me to do, even as illogical. So then I had that experience and I thought, okay, I mean, right industry, right opportunity. And then it was years later. So with personal development, here's part of the challenge, and it's probably the challenge of everybody listening today, especially around an abundance mindset, is how do you keep it up? How do you keep doing that? So I had this tremendous transformation and I equated to dieting. I don't even like the word dieting, but if I had wanted to lose weight and then every night I started to eat ice cream again.
Let's just say lifestyle change.
Yeah, lifestyle change. Well, if I start eating ice cream every day, it's going to start going the other way. Well, in personal development, it was similar, except it wasn't that I came crashing down in my income and noticed it, but you just kind of go, well, okay, the market's down or whatever, and you would rationalize it. And so that third point came, I had moved into what is called the robo advisors. So a lot of people here will know who that is and what they are and who they do. And I thought I was having a really bad year. Bad year was raising $30 million, but in that space, it was just a challenge. And I thought, I need to hire a coach. Like it had been a while since I had that. And I did like most, you get on your phone, I'm on YouTube. And here's what happened. The person I had hired where I had that great transformation, he's still alive. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's still alive. He's on YouTube. He's everywhere. So he's one of the gentlemen who was in The Secret. So people, are very aware of him. And again, right time, right place. He was doing a conference that weekend. You could virtually stream it. I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. I bought it. And then by the end of that, I bought the coaching package again. And then 3 months later, he was doing a lot of information about we're growing the coaching and the consulting and you have the opportunity to come work. And I thought, he turns 87 this July.
Wow.
So a couple years ago, I thought, if I don't do this now, will I regret this? And because when he first made the offer, I said, no, I have stock options. I mean, if everyone thinks about what you have in that world, I had stock options, 401k, health insurance, all of that. And so I said, no, why would I do that? But then I thought back to about my purpose and everyone listening and you, we all have purpose. It can change how it's delivered and how the vision is, because my purpose had always been, and the vision was, I'm going to help everybody figure out how they can retire.
Yeah.
So it's helping people, because everybody in this field listening really is there because they're helping people have a better life.
Yeah.
And then when I sat back and thought about, okay, I really did like him. Could I really do this? And it was the recognition that that huge transformation in my life that I had with him, that I could deliver that to other people. So now it didn't matter that it was just in financial services. It was that I could change their life no matter where they were in their career.
Right.
So that was the third one. It was like, oh, okay. But all of those had to be experienced to put me in that position.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you also incorporated purpose, because that is one of our principles. It's principle number 7. Because we're talking constantly about being sure that you're doing what is meant for you to do, that you love what you do. Never do it for the money. Like, I get we have bills to pay and all of these things, but if you're really doing what you are meant to do, then those things aren't going to matter and you'll be taken care of. Another thing that I love is whatever you are teaching to the people that you are coaching, they are able to also teach that to their clients. There is an amazing thing that you can do with the knowledge that you gain from a coach, and you are able to then translate that and impact your clients on a different level. Not just help them with their money and their retirement and protecting, you know, their families, their estates, all the things that we do, right?
Yeah.
But changing their lives.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with something that's so personal and so close, you know, there's so much that we can do to impact people in such a positive way in this industry. So,
Well, you
yeah.
just took, that is my purpose, because when somebody asked, it was that I can impact you wherever you are. I tend to work with people who have clients, that they're changing their clients' lives, but then it goes one step further. And aside, there's a midway, so it's their family. Because when you think about this, I changed my family's life for what we were able to do. We grew our family, we adopted kids, that's a whole nother story. But then it's that it impacts the community. And I think like it's like a pebble. It's like the ripple effect. It's
Yes.
that I go to the person, their family, their clients, and their community.
If you look at all of our principles, because community is like the 8th one. That's what we're building up to in these topics, is really how to build a community around you that, you know, will impact your business and your life in a very positive way. So, yeah.
I'm just going to add one thing, because now I feel compelled to say this, and I always, you know, I go, well, I'm going to say whatever I say today.
Yes, please.
Sometimes, and I often help people understand purpose, vision, and goals, because they get like twisted up into your point about purpose should be like what you are here for. Like, why are you here on this earth? And it can be as simple, for me, it's, you know, to serve my family and serve my community. Well, how do you deliver it is the vision. And visions can change. So my vision changed from being a financial advisor to being a business coach.
Yes.
The goals are important. So to your point about the money, goals are usually the stepping stones to create the vision that does the purpose. And the way that I explain it is that money is a necessary tool, but once you discover that you can really earn what you want to earn, then it becomes a tool to impact your life the way that you want it to.
Absolutely.
It's really just knowing that it's a good thing to have a goal.
Yes. So on to our next question. As a result of your shift from the financial services to coaching, what changes did you have to make?
Well, I quit that corporate job. That was not fun. And I can say this because everybody in financial services understands this, and it illustrates some of the points. When we're coming up to making a big life choice like that, we're usually going to hit some fear.
Yes.
And it causes us to either retreat back to comfort, or to go through it onto the other side, which we don't even know what exists there.
Yes.
So in financial services, you all know this. You quit on the last day of the month, right?
Yes.
On the last day of the month, because the commission check has dropped in. Because when you quit, they're going to take your entrance key and your laptop and everything, and they're going to escort you to the door, right?
Right.
That did not happen.
Nice way to be like treated, right?
Well, here's the problem. That didn't happen for me. So I went in to quit, and they said, can we counter? I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm quitting. I'm like, I'm not going to a competitor. And they countered, which was, in financial services, you know, assets come in certain times of the year. And they said, we're having a contest, which they did. And if you win the contest, we'll pay you your bonus money on the last day of the month with no clawbacks. And I thought, is there some trick to this? I mean, so for me, I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. And I thought, okay, it's 30 days. I will stay.
Yeah.
Here's the important inflection point. Halfway into it, the bigger boss called and said, will you stay until July? And this was February. And I said, no. I already knew that that would have been my fear, and I would have come back into comfort. And they also weren't helping because, you know, the phrase burn the boats, like you should burn the boats behind you so that you have that clean break and you can go. And they weren't giving that to me. They said, you're actually not helping because I can pick up the phone and you will hire me back in a week if I want it. So it was a test to see that I really wanted to do this, which was a pretty interesting test. So I had to quit the corporate job, away with the life insurance and the health insurance and all of that.
Yes.
And then when things don't go as planned, then you have to really think about what you're doing and how you're starting a business. So when you think about this, I'm starting a new job. I'm starting my own business. I quit the corporate job, and 5 months later, I'm having open heart surgery.
Oh boy. And you weren't aware of that?
No, I was not aware I was having that. And I'm perfectly fine, and it was just something they had to fix. But that also would have been another inflection point that I could have gone back to the corporate world and I could have rationalized it.
Right.
I could have rationalized it. And so those are some of the specific shifts that happened and occurred for anyone when they're starting out on an entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
You're going to come up against any of those, and it's our reactions and how we respond to it that really, I'm persistent, and it's one of the things we teach. And so I needed to maintain that persistency even when all of these things came up. And I'm pretty good at following direction. And so Bob Proctor is the gentleman who is in The Secret, and it's the organization where I utilize some of his programming.
Okay.
He just says, just follow what I tell you.
Yeah.
And it was read the persistence champ. I'm like, okay, that was it.
That's easy enough.
So,
I guess easier said than done though sometimes.
yes.
So today, obviously, we're talking about abundance mindset. So what does that mean to you?
You know, this is like a loaded question because you can go any place. And
Yes.
so I think that's the blessing of it, is that for what anyone listening to this already thinks abundance means to them is how we can expand on this. So first of all, having an abundance mindset is, what is your expectation? And that's one of the most important questions to ask about that. Because if you expect an abundance, but you're doing the opposite with worry, doubt, and anxiety, that's why it seems like we're never matching up with believing that this can happen when we're thinking that way. And it happens. I mean, everybody has that voice in their head.
Yes.
And it comes up at all points in time. And so the challenge is that, are you really expecting to be abundant? Because your mind has the ability to make it right.
Very true.
Our mind has the ability to make anything right. And so the question I would have, like anyone right now, when they woke up, what did they expect today? Like what did you expect today? And then what do you want to have happen today? And so when you think in the terms of abundance, it's, did I wake up? Do I have that expectation? What do I want to have happen? And that question becomes much more of a bridge to that abundance mindset, because you want to get that picture clearly in your mind.
Yes.
Like, do you clearly know what abundance means to you? Because it could be, now here's something, and people will laugh, so water. We talk a lot about abundance and gratitude. You'll understand gratitude if you can get to the point when you're in the morning, whether you do a gratitude or abundance journal, it's to say, I'm so thankful and grateful that I can go to the faucet and turn it on and I have fresh water, because I am not a 10-year-old girl who's being held out of school, walking 5 miles to the river, filling up, the 5-gallon bucket and dragging it back. Now, can you be that thankful that this is an abundant supply of water to you? And most of us think, I'm just going to the faucet and doing this. So you want to get a picture clearly, and you want to think about it all throughout the day.
Yes,
All throughout the day. There's abundance everywhere. Go
truly,
outside and stand, you
truly,
know?
yeah.
That's
So
an abundance mindset.
yes. So I actually have an advisor who told me to write this down, and I did, and I put it on my computer, and he said, assume the feeling as if the wish has already happened. So whatever it is that you want to attract into your life, feel that it has already appeared, and then
Yep.
it'll come to you because
Yep.
it's an energy. Like you are literally putting out an energy. And yeah, so, and I truly believe that.
Yep.
Truly. Yeah.
Question for you, because that's actually Neville Goddard. That's from The Power of Awareness. Act as if and feel as if. So how do you get to the feeling part?
In my heart, I feel it. It's like it is, I'm having it right now. It's sort of like a tingly feeling all over my body, right? And we did get a question, by the way, from Rodney. How can you reframe the expectations in your mind or in your head?
Yep. Writing.
Mm.
Gets it out of our head. And so I'm going to answer, I'm going to think about this. So how can we get our expectation? Read it. Can you read it again? I want to make
Yeah.
sure.
How can you reframe the expectations in your head? So like I'm thinking maybe it's like you want to be abundant, but then you've got these things like you can't do that, like, you know, you don't have enough time in the day for that or whatever, like,
Yep.
you know, all those fun limiting beliefs.
Yes. So I'll give you a couple different exercises. One is writing. And I actually tell people, now this sounds counterintuitive because I'm going to tell Rodney to write down everything he's worried about. So like you said, like how do I switch it?
Yeah.
So if I'm worried about lack and limitation, then let's do that. Or the dollars aren't coming in, or if I've got to close, and in that world, the end of the month is like the worst week ever.
Yes.
So write out every possible detail of what's not going right within that framework.
Yeah.
And this is from the law of cause and effect. And then what we do is you flip that to the complete opposite. But firstly, writing out everything that's not working is actually going to identify some habits that aren't serving us. So everybody, we're going to have something that pops up that goes, oh, I'm doing this all the time. No wonder I think like this.
Yeah.
Because writing as much detail is what makes it evident for all of us. Then when we flip it and we write the polar opposite, that is the first wave of how we're flipping that talk in our head. So we call it the knowing doing gap. Our conscious controls what we're thinking, so it's controlling, but our subconscious is what does the action. And so what Rodney's asking is, how do I get it into the subconscious? So the first step is the writing. If we identify that, look, everyone sitting here is in sales, right?
Yeah.
In sales, part of the issue is, how do I get another client? Or we're fearful that that's not going to happen. When we identify the activity that's not serving us well, so let's call the elephant in the room. You should all be talking to people every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And so I'm looking at, and to be honest, it's 2:30. I haven't done my contacts. So for everybody watching this right now, have you made those contacts that you needed to do? Most often, sometimes we're just busy. So an affirmation, and this is how we start switching it in our head, would be, I continuously contact 10 people each and every day, period. That's it. And that's it. And then I just affirm that to myself when I wake up. When it comes to the end of the day, then we just go, did I do this? What did it feel like? If not, can I do something better tomorrow, and let it go? So we're just replacing that negative speak with something positive. The challenge for Rodney and the rest of us is that voice is pretty loud and we start believing it.
True.
one other, and I'll give you one other activity to do. And I heard this from a sports psychologist, which helps us remind ourselves that we've done great things and we can do it again. So that negative talk, which is usually saying, how the heck are you going to sign up 10 clients when you didn't do 5 last month?
Right.
So what he said, and he's a basketball, he coaches in the NBA in mindset. And so if you can imagine when they have, what do they call it? Oh shoot, they can't shoot the basket. Oh, a slump. So when they're having a slump, all they're thinking about is the fact that they can't hit the basket and do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He has them create a highlight reel in their head with, I mean, and for all of us, if we're in a sales slump, you want to remind yourself of everything that you've done in your life that is extraordinary. And it can go back as far as when you were in school. So for me, it was, I'm the first person to graduate high school in my family, which seems illogical. The first one to go to college. I have jumped out of an airplane. I have swam the whole length of an Olympic pool underwater, because you have to do that to get scuba done. So it's not always business.
Yeah.
But then it will have, and I raised $1 billion in fixed income for an asset manager. When you're having those bad days and you're not believing, you pull out that highlight reel and you just look at it and you go, okay, that's right, I can do these things.
Yeah. I am incredible. We all are.
We're all incredible. Everybody has their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a great mom. I'm a great gardener. I don't like gardening, but whatever it is,
Right.
write it down, keep it on an index card.
That's wonderful. What are advantages of having this kind of mindset? I know that's a silly question, but like,
Well,
we'll go with that.
really, I was putting something together for a client, which we're talking about sales
Yeah.
and how, because we teach sales a little bit different. We teach it with how do you connect heart to heart and not head to head.
Yes.
And there's this idea that you just have to keep hammering on the negative about what they're not doing and what they're not getting. And I said, how would you like to be told how horrible you are all day long?
Right. That's
You-
terrible.
let me, put salt in the wound and drive it even deeper, or would you rather hear what's going well and what's going right?
Yeah.
So when I talk, and you can look at generally the advantage of this mindset is you're just a happier person. Because sometimes people will think, oh, it just always means that you're earning a lot of money or that your business is doing exactly what you want. An abundant mindset might be, oh, like when I had heart surgery, I'm a very healthy, happy person. I'm healthy. I have abundance in health. And we get to choose how we feel each and every day. So the universe wants you to have an abundant life.
It
First
does.
and foremost. So if the
Yeah.
universe wants you to have an abundant life, it's always supporting you in that reality. Are you letting it? It's a really good question. If the universe and people, universe, God, whatever, want you to have an abundant life, it's always supporting you. It's giving you the path to go. And poverty is a state of mind as well.
Yes.
We overcome poverty by mastering abundance. We don't want to master the sense of lack, but you have to do your part. You've got to do your part, and we create abundance from the inside out.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I struggle sometimes keeping in that mindset, as we all do, right? Then I just take a step back and look at everything that I've created around me. And I'm just like, okay, you got this. Like, it's okay sometimes to have an off day, you
Yeah.
know. And also when things happen that say something falls off my schedule because somebody canceled, I realize that that's the universe giving me an opening to choose something else,
Yep.
versus getting upset about it or whatever. So I think no matter what it is, it's like navigating what is happening and then choosing positive.
Right. Well, when you think about it in the way, And this is where it goes off the rails when people think, well, I can attract abundance by just thinking good thoughts. That is where we start to feel the negative impact because we're looking for evidence. And when we're looking for the evidence and the how is actually when it's not going to present itself. So every time we're asking, well, how are these 5 clients going to show up? How are they going to, magically come into my world? It's when we keep asking the how that you're actually keeping it away from you. So abundance doesn't matter what level of education I have, what training I have, what work experience I have. You just have to get in line with the laws. They're all universal laws. And there's the thousands of books that are out there, but it's just really understanding it's like the law of gravity.
Right. It exists. You just have to believe.
Yep.
So this is a good way to move into the next question. So no one is perfect, of course, and we all have bad days and negative thoughts creep in. How do you counteract those thought patterns? Like, how can you become aware and then move out of that? Like some little tricks.
I would say the first thing is actually if you spend every day doing some studying on your personal development.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, which it's not necessarily preparing you for when negative happens, but you're really preparing yourself for the day to present yourself for your clients, for yourself, and how you show up. And you can pick anything, any type of studying and doing gratitude in the morning and doing affirmations. Gratitude sets you up to prepare yourself for the day. Last year, this was huge. I mean, I don't watch TV, I don't read newspapers. Gratitude is the first wave that I would tell anyone. So sit down, and if it's only about what I'm thankful for today that I can be, because sometimes we talk about the bridge of incidents to the future.
Yeah.
What are you thankful for today? Now, when you've done that work and you've done the studying, when something comes up, and it will, you're going to go down the rabbit hole, but you're going to stop yourself sooner. Yes. And it still might be a bad day. People still, but it's that awareness, and it's being able to monitor and observe. So one of the other ways aside from gratitude is I write intentions for the day. Like, what are your intentions? So you're telling the day, this is what I intend. And one of the ones that I took from another author, which is I monitor and observe all my thoughts. So I monitor and observe all my thoughts, directing them when possible. When possible. Yes. So it's you want to give yourself some grace, and you want to recognize that just because I'm usually a pretty happy person and I focus on gratitude, well, I wasn't that happy last year when I broke my foot walking a dog. Right. So things happen. I mean,
maybe the universe was telling you to slow down. I don't know.
That could have been. It was the first time I ever broke a bone. But things like that happen. People have been in car accidents. I've been rear-ended. Things happen. But it's how do you rebound? So if we let that cause us to go into negative spiral, that's the worst that we could do. And so I would say start the day with gratitude. I love the intention. I monitor and observe all my thoughts, and I try to direct them when possible. And these should be little mantras that you can do during the day. And if you need reminders, set your phone. Set your phone to remind you with either, okay, take 5 minutes to sit and breathe, take 5 minutes, I've got to reread these, and then how do you end your day? So when you end your day, it really is just review and reflect and let it go. The letting go becomes challenging for most people because we're going, it's like, okay, what went well? It's not what went wrong. It's what can I do better? Maybe I should listen to my prospects more and then let it go. Yes. And I would say practice letting it go.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing I've been working on because I can have like 10 really good calls and be killing it, right? And then I get on one call with one person who's like real cranky, and it could like take me off my game, right? And it doesn't last as long anymore, right?
Yep.
So it used to, it would probably go through my entire day and I would have shared that story with multiple people.
Yep.
And now it's like, yeah, no, that wasn't good. And also maybe there was something going on with them in their life and it had nothing to do with me. And they just came off cranky or whatever, right?
Yep.
So that's one thing that I'm just really working on
So
myself.
I actually have something for you. This will help you. It will help everybody on the call. See, I told you, like things pop up and you go, oh, okay. I mean, I was taught this by another coach, and it's how do you prepare for either every call, every presentation, or something that you're going to do. It takes 2 minutes to run through, and it's between 4 to 5 questions, and you just run this through your head. So the first one is what do you want to be the end result from the call? So, and it's not often that they're signing on the dotted line. It might be that I gather the documents. Okay. So that's the first thing. So what actions do you need to take? Actually, I'm doing it in reverse. What do I want to have happen? What do I need to think? What do you need to think about? Which is typically, I'm really good at this. I usually have great conversations. What do I have to feel is not doubt, anxiety, and worry, but I need to feel I'm pretty good and I care about people. And what actions do I need to take? Typically, the actions in any interaction on the phone is I need to ask really good questions and shut up.
Yeah.
And then what is the reaction I'm hoping to see? Again, it's that they agree to another phone call. You just run through that in your head. It will make those calls better, even with that cranky person, because you've set the intention with what that call is going to be.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've started doing is dropping into my heart center and sending them love, compassion, and kindness,
Yeah.
and just like saying it over and over. And it's just like, it really works. It truly does. So, yeah.
Yep.
Just, little tricks of the trade.
Uh-huh.
So let's see, can you share a little bit more about how you work with clients when you're coaching them? And then what is your goal for them?
Okay. I'm just trying to think. I always try to think of like who's a good representation, because so I'll talk about coaching broadly and then we'll narrow it down.
Cool.
Because broadly, and this is a challenge for anyone who's considering being coached. A coach can stand up in front of a room and literally say, I can help anybody with a problem. Well, there's issues. Most people don't think they have a problem.
Yes.
But we're frustrated about something. And so it's the way that it becomes presented, because I like businesses and I love financial services and I love helping people figure out how to do their business better. It typically starts with money.
Mm-hmm.
And because I can help people double and triple, and we even tell them that I can cause your annual income from last year to be your monthly, but I have to meet them where they're at. And most often they are not at that point that they can even accept that as even a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Often I'll say I can help you double your income, which is why they're having a conversation. But more often it's because they're frustrated. They started their entrepreneurial journey, one, because they love what they do, and they didn't realize that they were going to have to wear every single hat
Oh my
as
God.
the business owner. And you know this, I mean, we wear all hats. And so it really just starts with what is their goal. We like them to have, there's usually a monetary aspect because of where they want to get to. So we help them understand that you do want to tie the money with it in the very beginning. But ideally, they don't want to work longer hours. Nobody wants to work longer hours. We actually want to work less.
Yes.
And so I can help them work through the processes that do that. And we never add hours into their workday. And actually, sometimes we actually decrease the amount of hours that they are. So I just meet them where they are, but I get them to believe in the dream. So before we even get to work together, I want to know your dream. Because if I don't get goosebumps, I shouldn't work with you. Like you said, like you feel it. I get goosebumps when I
Yeah.
know it's the person that I should work with, because when they tell me what their dream is, I can see it for them. So the job of a coach is to hold the vision and hold the belief, because the clients don't necessarily believe that in the beginning. So we
Mm-hmm.
just tell them to borrow the belief, because they don't know that their life can be as amazing as it can possibly be. And so I want them to have an immediate impact. So in the very beginning, we're usually working on the goal and the plan and short little bursts. Like,
Yes.
how do you make the driving, the parking spot appear when you're going to, or I work with my clients who golf,
Yeah.
you know, and so my role is to help get them to understand in a way that they don't care as much about. See, when we care so much about earning money, we get all
Mm-hmm.
twisted up in that.
Yeah.
And so we can't, so I talk about lifestyle or golf, or
Right.
driving, like not getting stopped by a police officer. And so I will share this. I have a client who owns a mortgage company, and he's a golfer. He golfs all the time. In fact, he had a golf outing because he has a nonprofit, but he ordered new clubs and he was heading out for a golf weekend. And I'm like, oh, great, we're going to teach you this, because we were on this lesson, and he was like frustrated because he couldn't get it. I said, okay, let's talk about golf. You have new golf clubs. What is your goal this weekend? Do you guys bet? And he's trying to tell me they don't bet. I said, no, I know that's not true. I know you all bet. I said, is it like you lose a round, you have to buy drinks, and it was for money? I said, okay, great. What do you normally shoot in golf, And he told me, but his expectation, because they were new golf clubs, was he was going to do worse. And I said, well, that's not acceptable. I said, so the 2-hour drive, because in Georgia, he was heading down to Lake Oconee. I said, that whole drive, you're going to affirm that you're shooting the same as you did pre the goals. And I can't remember, I don't remember his number, so I don't want to make it up. But I said, and then you have to text me at the end of the weekend and you have to tell me what you did. So, I made him affirm all the way down there. And the goal was that he came back with dollars in his pocket, meaning that he won, and he came back with $200. I said, but what it did was it removed the business side of trying to make this work and put it into golf. And that's really our role. Coaches aren't consultants. Like, I don't tell people what to do. I guide them to discover that they can do it all on their own and that they can realize all of these goals. Then they're going to push for higher. Now, I will push them in the beginning because everybody filters. So if I
Yeah.
ask somebody what they want to earn, and especially think about this, you're in financial services, you're analytical to begin with, and you're
Right.
filtering numbers. And I go, what do you want to earn? And somebody goes, 250,000, I go triple it.
Because you can.
Because they've already filtered, they've already logically thought, well, if I grow 10%, 20%, or they think it sounds like a big number to me, because that's what people think goal setting is. Like,
Yeah.
we all filter. Everybody filters because we don't believe yet that we can accomplish it. And so they eventually learn that it's not about the money. Because see, even an abundance mindset is not about the money. They realize it's about abundance in their life, and that mindset, then the money allows them to have that as the tool. So is it abundance because you want to change and transform your client's life? Most likely it is.
Yeah.
And I just hold that picture for them until they can believe it. But
Beautiful.
there's very specific processes. I mean, being analytical and being coming from financial services, it wasn't a surprise that when I hired my first coach, I wanted a process and a system. I didn't want like woohoo fairy dust.
Yes. Yes. Well,
I was
systems are what get us where we need to be, really.
right.
and then we have some fairy dust. So
Yes. Well, there's some, but they don't want it all to be like, sit down and tell me how you feel. They go, I want to process and I want to say, I'm like, great. It's simple. It's not easy.
yeah, for
That's it.
sure. All right. So I am going to skip a couple questions because we're getting down to the time frame. But how do you recommend other people in the financial services industry stay positive and focused amid all the chatter and negativity out there?
Yeah. So this is a big one. So the first thing and the most important is, what is your morning practice?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to do with your business, nothing to do with your industry. What is your morning practice that you start every morning with? It should include some form of study, some form of writing, gratitude, exercise, um, and possibly meditation and visualization every
Yep.
morning. Every morning.
Yep.
That to me is the non-negotiable. So that sets them up. You have to realize, especially in the market's going crazy, and I used to tell clients, we don't care what the market does. Well, actually, personally, we would say as financial advisors, we hope the market goes down thousands of points for you, but not for me, because then you might realize that you need a financial advisor. Stop looking at what their production is. So that's the report card system. So if I've set myself up well to start my day and have it well, if you keep focusing on what is, you'll keep recreating it.
Yes.
Joe Dispenza is great at explaining that. Read their highlight reel.
Yes.
Read their highlight reel, and then write down what you provide for clients and the benefit to them, and remind yourself of the good that you bring into their life.
Perfect.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Well, I think I got all that down so far, so I'm on the right track. Now, what about your gift? What do you have for the attendees today?
Well, it's not a surprise that I brought an abundance journal.
Great.
So it is, when I thought about this, because one, I have lots of tools,
Yes.
but I wanted everyone to understand it's the ability to write and express gratitude and abundance, and there's props throughout it, because writing causes thinking and thinking causes action, and this is what can help them transform. Now, don't be like me, because I was the person who would get journals and I would never finish them. It's meant to be finished. And I thought that tied well. One of the books that I read often is Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. And he said, you must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself. So you want to have a clear mental picture. This abundance journal is going to help you do that, because we just keep clarifying. And then maybe we change what we want, and you're going to take a mental attitude of ownership toward everything when you write it down.
Perfect. And we'll be sure to get that out. I'm assuming you'll send us a link, and then we can get that out to all of the attendees.
Yep. I'll send it again.
Awesome. And then lastly, do you have any other books or resources you would like to recommend to the audience? I know there's so many of them, like so many.
If I could turn my camera around, you'd see my bookshelf. And my bookshelf is split into all the books I've read and all the books I have yet to read.
Yes.
But so yes, I have some names, but then I want to say this disclaimer before I talk about them. In everybody's reading, you're going to find one or two or three that just really make sense to you. Because the reason there are thousands of books out there is that they are all saying the same thing, just in a different way. So how we all think and process is a little bit different from one person to another. And sometimes you're going to read a book the second time and it's going to make more sense. So I love books that were written long time ago, because the story doesn't change. And so I thought I'll narrow it down. And this is challenging. So I would say that I picked Neville Goddard, The Power of Awareness.
Yeah.
And that's the one where you have that quote about you have to feel the end. And all of his books are great, but that's one of the ones that it's small. And I would tell you, you want to find his original one, not one of the ones that's been reprinted since then.
Okay.
The second I picked was Ernest Holmes, who wrote It's Up to You. It's a very thin book. I'm not even sure it's a quarter of an inch thick, but it's one of those that you read a couple paragraphs at a time. But it will really help us understand how do we get ourselves into this abundance mindset and how do we feel where we need to get. And then, of course, Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich.
Love it.
And the fourth one, which is a little bit different, is Psycho-Cybernetics by Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Okay.
So he talks a lot about self-image and self-confidence, and that's going to help us as we're progressing in our abundance mindset. But more than enough books.
Yes, yes. I know I have tons as well. So I appreciate all of those recommendations. All right.
You have them.
Yes. So I want to thank you so much for being here today. This has really changed my Tuesday. I feel like it's my Monday. It is for most people. But this has been so much fun, and I really appreciate you and what you bring to the world and what you'll hopefully do with some of the people that have attended here today. And then in conclusion, thank you everybody for joining us. We know your time is valuable, and we hope you really got some good stuff out of this. And then our third webinar in the series is coming up on June 29th. I will have Brian Sweet and Brittany Anderson from Sweet Financial on. They are the hosts of Ultimate Advisor podcast. So if you guys haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. Like, they have all the goodness and can teach you so many good things about being an advisor. So in the meantime, definitely go to our website and check out the Heart-Centered Planning page, download the guides that go along with these webinars that we're having, and then be sure to follow us at the Annuity Consultants on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And yeah, if there's anything else I can do, certainly feel free to reach out to me, but we will be getting that email out to you in the next day or two. And again, Ellen, thank you so much, and everybody have a great day. Bye.
Stephanie.